Welcome to the Easy Peasy Methodcast, where we take a fresh, honest look at quitting porn using the Easy Peasy Method. This isn't about struggle, it's about clarity, freedom, and stepping into a life where you no longer feel trapped. Let's dive in and make quitting effortless. We break down the methods that shape your decision making. Today, we're diving into something that has a huge impact on addiction, habit formation, and more specifically, pornography use the Coolidge Effect and its relationship with dopamine. This is not just some abstract scientific theory, this is the biological mechanism that makes porn so addicting. Understanding this is like getting a cheat code to break free from compulsive behavior, and we're going to break it down using the Easy Peasy method, a system designed to show you how quitting porn is not about fighting urges or using willpower, but about seeing the addiction for what it really is, a trap that never gave you anything in the first place. Let's start with the Coolidge Effect. It's named after President Calvin Coolidge, not because he was some kind of scientist, but because of a story about him and his wife visiting a farm. As the story goes, Mrs. Coolidge saw a rooster mating with a hen and asked how often it happened. The farmer told her dozens of times each day. She responded, "Tell that to Mr. Coolidge." When the president heard this, he asked, "Same hen each time?" The farmer replied, "No, different hens." Coolidge then said, "Tell that to Mrs. Coolidge." This little joke actually reflects a profound truth about how male biology works. The Coolidge effect is the biological drive to seek novelty in sexual partners. It exists to make sure that in nature, males don't just mate with one partner and stop. Instead, the male brain is wired to become less interested in the same partner over time and more interested in a new one. This is nature's way of ensuring genetic diversity and maximizing reproduction. Now, here's where things get interesting. In a natural environment, this effect has limits. In the past, you wouldn't have unlimited access to new partners. But in today's world, with high-speed internet porn, the Coolidge effect gets hacked. Porn tricks your brain into believing that you are constantly finding new mates. Every time you open a new video, a new clip, a new tab, you're triggering the Coolidge effect, flooding your brain with dopamine, the chemical responsible for motivation and reward. Dopamine is the fuel for addiction. It's the reason you feel excited to click on that next video. It's what makes you want to keep going, keep searching, keep scrolling. But here's the problem. The more dopamine you flood your brain with, the more desensitized your brain becomes. This is where addiction starts to take hold. Your brain lowers the number of dopamine receptors to balance things out, meaning that over time, the same videos don't excite you as much. The same categories don't feel as stimulating. So what do? You escalate. You search for something new, something more extreme, something that pushes the boundary. This is why so many people find themselves watching things they never expected. They didn't start with extreme content. They started with something basic, something normal, but because their dopamine receptors got fried, they kept needing more novelty to feel the same effect. And that's where the trap tightens. You're not watching porn because you enjoy it. You're watching it because you need more and more stimulation just to feel something. And this is where Easy Peasy flips the script. Most people think quitting porn is about fighting urges, using willpower, and just trying to hold on. But Easy Peasy exposes the truth. You don't actually want porn, you just want dopamine. And once you realize that porn isn't giving you pleasure, but only fueling an endless cycle of craving, quitting becomes effortless. Let's use an analogy. Imagine you're drinking salt water. You're thirsty, so you drink. But instead of quenching your thirst, the salt water makes you more dehydrated. So you drink more, hoping it'll help, but it only makes things worse. This is exactly what porn does to your dopamine system. It makes you believe it's relieving something, when in reality, it's the very thing making you feel worse. And here's the kicker. Real life starts to feel dull in comparison. Conversations don't seem as interesting. Real relationships feel less exciting. Even your own achievements don't give you the same rush. Because your brain has been hijacked by artificial stimulation, normal experiences that should bring joy, satisfaction, and connection feel flat. That's why so many people struggle with focus, energy, and motivation when they're deep in the porn trap. They're running on a broken dopamine system. So, what's the way out? The way out is understanding that the craving isn't real, that it's just a withdrawal symptom from an artificial high, that the moment you stop believing that porn is giving you anything, you break free. You don't have to fight urges, you just have to see the trap for what it is. Think of it like a fire alarm going off in your house. If you panic and try to fight the noise, you suffer. But if you simply turn off the alarm, peace returns instantly. The craving for porn is like that alarm. It's just a mental noise. And once you understand it's meaningless, it stops controlling you. This is why Easy Peasy is so different from other methods. It doesn't tell you to resist, it tells you to stop wanting it. It rewires your perception. And once you realize that the pleasure of porn was never real, that it was just a dopamine trick, quitting doesn't feel like deprivation. It feels like relief. And here's something crazy. People think quitting means giving up pleasure, but it's the opposite. Once you're free, your brain resets. Dopamine levels return to normal. Real life experiences become exciting again. You find joy in small things. You feel more confident, more present, more alive. The colors are brighter, the air is fresher. And that's because you've removed the fog of artificial stimulation that was numbing your ability to enjoy life. So let's wrap it up with a challenge. If you've been trapped in the cycle of dopamine overload, I want you to ask yourself, what am I actually getting from this? Be honest. If the answer is nothing, then what are you really afraid of? Because once you see that the bars of the cage aren't real, you'll realize something life-changing. You were free all along. That's it for today's episode of the Methodcast. If this resonated with you, don't just think about it, act on it. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, send it their way. Because sometimes one shift in perspective is all it takes to change a life. Now, if this resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might need a little encouragement today. Every conversation like this brings us closer to freedom, clarity, and a life that feels truly good. Until next time, stay focused, stay free, and always remember, you are capable of so much more than you realize.